And I was just blown away. She said, well, would you like the picture? And I said, oh, I would love to have the picture, you know. And so before we left, I asked her if she would pray for me, and she prayed. And we walked out of that building that day, and I gave the car keys to Gail, and I said, you need to drive, you know. And I spent the next 15 minutes or more going down the road just like this, you know, and realizing I would probably never see her again on this earth, and she's gone home to heaven now. But I wanted to just tell you that because, you know, our heroes, they are not famous, but they are faithful. And my grandpa never pastored a mega church, you know, small churches, little church, and never was famous, never was wealthy, anything like that goes with earthly fame. But I think he's a hero. And I can well imagine he heard the Lord say one day, well done, good and faithful servant. For you have been faithful with a few things, I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. Man, I'm sure that when they took a little dark-haired girl into their home and raised her for a few years, they had no comprehension of the impact they would make upon her life that would change her life for years to come. And literally would influence even this church today and all that, you know, that was done at that time. And the answers to prayer. And that just brings me to this passage, because Jesus is talking really here about what is success. What is success? I think we can define success this way. Success is taking your abilities and your opportunities and adding faithfulness. Faithfulness. Jesus said to both of these servants, well done, good and famous servant. No, that isn't what he said. Well done, good and faithful servant. That's what he called them. Well done, good and faithful servant. Success is taking your abilities, your opportunities, and adding faithfulness. Faithfulness. What is God looking for in your life and in my life? He's looking for faithfulness. Look at this verse in 1 Corinthians 4:2. It is required in stewards that one be found faithful. What is God looking for in a steward, a manager, somebody to take care of what is his? He's looking for faithfulness. The Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy, who was a pastor of a church, and he gave him counsel concerning how to build that church. And here's what he said, part of what he said. The things which you've heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. Faithful men. What is the key to building a church? Faithful people. Faithful people. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Success is taking your abilities and your opportunities and adding faithfulness. Being faithful. Being found faithful. And I fear that maybe we don't fully understand the meaning of the word faithful. I mean, we think it's maybe just like a warm body showing up every day. And that is part of it, just, you know, being there, and being there. But it's a little more than that. It is faithfulness to do the task. It is faithfulness to stay in there. It is faithfulness to keep your chin up. It is faithfulness to have a good attitude when things maybe are not going the best. And in fact, I like to add another word to faithfulness, and here's what it is. It is persistence. Persistence. It's got a little more power to it, a little more strength to it. Faithfulness and persistence. Persistence makes dreams come true. Persistence sounds easy. but it is not at all. It is very difficult. Persistence comes from having a settled purpose. Each of us needs a settled purpose in life, an aiming point. A man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder. And when we have a purpose, then we have persistence because of that purpose, and we have a faithfulness. Let me give you some principles of success from this passage. God gives us some principles of success. Can you imagine a guy standing at a wood stove, warming his hands, sort of, but there's no heat coming out of it. And he says to the wood stove, "Give me some heat and I'll give you some wood." Wood stoves don't work that way, do they? Neither does life. And we think that, we need to get some kind of reward and then we'll work hard. It's the other way around. It's the other way around. And principles of success. I want you to see it here. Jesus said, he gave 2 commendations, one to the man with 5 talents, one to the man with 2. And here's what he said. It's in verse 21 and verse 23, the exact same commendation. The exact same. His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master." So we see 3 things here that I want you to see. First of all, servant and ruler. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you over many things. The second thing is few things, many things. And the third thing is work and then joy. Enter into the joy of the Lord. Somebody said success is spelled W-O-R-K. Work. Work. I heard a story about a lady who was an accomplished pianist. She played for concerts and that kind of thing, just a gifted, wonderful, highly trained pianist. And one day she was showing a lady through her house who really didn't know that this lady was a pianist. And as she showed her through the house, the lady said, "Oh, what a beautiful piano." She said, "Do you play?" And she said, "Oh, yes, I do." And she said, "Would you play for me?" And so her guest sat down, and this lady sat down at the piano and played for her. And her guest said, "I would give anything to be able to play like that." And the lady looked her in the eye and said, "No, you wouldn't." And her guest was a little taken back and said, "Oh, I would give anything to play like that." And the lady said, "No, you wouldn't give hours and hours and hours of practice and hours of lonely work on the notes and practicing. And work comes before joy." This is a principle of success. With perseverance, you can be successful. People do not lack ability, they lack will, so oftentimes. It's unusual for a person whose desire is larger than his distaste for the work involved. And with everything, there's some work involved that is difficult and that is not always the most enjoyable. And what is success? Success is taking your abilities, your opportunities, and adding persistence, faithfulness. What are the principles of success? You're a servant before you're a ruler. You're faithful with a few things before you're over many things. You work hard before you know the joy